just when you think that there could not be any more Marvel news this week, after the news of Mahershala Ali's Blade being removed from the 2025 release schedule and probably canceled. If you haven't watched that video, there's probably a card that I put up on YouTube. Anyway, so getting back to the main topic, Tom Holland's Spider-Man 4 is happening. Tom Holland gave an interview with Jimmy Fallon on The Tonight Show and just came out of the blue and said the Spider-Man 4 is happening. Tom Holland said, and I quote, "It's happening. Next summer we start shooting. Everything's good to go. We're nearly there. It's super exciting. Yeah, I can't wait." End quote. When he went on Good Morning America to tease the movie, he said, quote, "The idea is crazy. It's a little different than anything we've done before, but I think the fans are going to really respond to it." End quote. When he was on the Rich Roll podcast giving an interview, he confirmed that he and Zendaya have read draft scripts saying, and I quote, "I read it 3 weeks ago, and it really lit a fire in me. Zendaya and I sat down and read it together, and we at times were bouncing around the living room like, this is a real movie worthy of the fans' respect. But there's a few things we need to figure out before we can get that really going, but it's exciting." End quote. It's also been reported that Destin Daniel Cretton, director of Shang-Chi and The Legend of the Ten Rings, took over directing from Jon Watts, who has since been tasked with directing the Fantastic Four movie, set to come out in 2025. Spider-Man 4 also just had a release date announced of July 24th, 2026. Now, you've probably read the title of the video before you clicked on it. In my opinion, this is a pure desperation move by both Sony and Disney Marvel for different reasons, but still, this movie came so out of left field for both companies that it does mark that Sony and Marvel are both desperate, and I have 3 reasons for each company as to why Spider-Man 4 is desperate for Sony and why Spider-Man 4 is desperate for Marvel. So let's start off with why this movie is desperate for Sony. The first point I want to make is that Morbius and Madam Web were both bombs, and bombs of such proportions that you have the stars of Madam Web, like Sydney Sweeney, going on SNL and making fun of Madam Web when it was still in theaters.
My name is Sydney Sweeney. You might have seen me in Anyone But You or Euphoria. You definitely did not see me in Madam Web.
You also had John Mulaney at the Academy Awards also make fun of Madam Web. Granted, this was after it was out of theaters, but still, you had even the Oscars were making fun of Madam Web.
Now the Oscar for Achievement in Sound. For years, movies didn't have sound, and then they figured it out. Some people say that the silent era was the golden era of film. These people are difficult and insane. Without sound, we wouldn't have been able to hear such classic lines as, "You're gonna need a bigger boat. I'll have what she's having." And he was in the Amazon with my mother when she was researching spiders just before she died.
He was in the Amazon with my mom when she was researching spiders right before she died.
So it's rather obvious. Now, I could go into how Morbius was turned into a meme, the meme of "it's Morbin time." The meme, by the way, did not generate any more money at the box office. The meme came about after the movie had gone out of theaters, and then on Twitter, everyone started memeing "it's Morbin time." Sony decided, hey, let's re-release Morbius in theaters, and it only made like an extra 40 or 50,000 during its second run. Which, by the way, I know for most people listening to this, $50,000 is nothing to scoff at. But in the world of movies, a $40,000 or $50,000 box office return is effectively zero. And Sony's Kraven the Hunter movie, which is coming out at the end of this year, 2024, is also likely to bomb. And here's the main reason why Morbius, Madam Web, and Kraven the Hunter, why Morbius and Madam Web bombed, and why Kraven the Hunter is likely to also bomb as well. Who the fuck has heard of Morbius the Living Vampire? Who the fuck has heard of Madam Web? Who in the fuck has heard of Kraven the Hunter? Again, I'm familiar with Morbius. I'm familiar with Kraven the Hunter because I was a massive Spider-Man fan growing up. But the casual audience is going to have no idea who Morbius the Living Vampire is, who Kraven the Hunter is, let alone who Madam Web is. Even I didn't know who Madam Web was. I had to look up who Madam Web was before the movie even came out. So again, the first reason why Spider-Man 4 is desperate for Sony is that anything not related, the only exception to my next statement is going to be the Venom movies. But anything that doesn't have Spider-Man in it, whether it's Peter Parker or Miles Morales, again, the only exception is the Venom movies with Tom Hardy, has just been bomb after bomb after bomb. Morbius bomb, Madam Web bomb. Kraven the Hunter is more than likely going to bomb for the reason I stated before, is that the casual audience has no idea who Kraven the Hunter is, nor do they probably even care. Is Spider-Man in the movie? Because unless a Spider-Man is in the movie, unless a Venom is in the movie, it's probably going to bomb. The second point for why Spider-Man 4 is desperate for Sony is, we're going to tie this back into the first point, is that no Peter Parker Spider-Man movie since Sam Raimi's Spider-Man from 2002 has ever lost money at the box office. Even the often maligned Amazing Spider-Man movies with Andrew Garfield, Amazing Spider-Man and Amazing Spider-Man 2, where it was Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone as Gwen Stacy. Now both Amazing Spider-Man and Amazing Spider-Man 2 didn't make a whole lot of money at the box office. I think they both made over $700 million at the box office, but still, the Amazing Spider-Man and the often maligned and the very maligned Amazing Spider-Man 2 never lost money at the box office. It's just those movies made less than the Sam Raimi movies made. That was it. So if you're looking at it from a box office standpoint, and okay, no Peter Parker Spider-Man movie has ever lost money at the box office. We still have Tom Holland under contract, supposedly. Fuck it, let's just do Spider-Man 4. And the third and final point for why this is a desperate move for Sony is that Spider-Man No Way Home is the 7th highest grossing movie of all time. Now, I do want to make note that it was the 6th highest grossing movie of all time, but that was before the release of Avatar: The Way of Water. Avatar: The Way of Water is now the 3rd highest grossing movie of all time. So Spider-Man No Way Home moved down from 6th to 7th. And why is this point important for Sony? It's because Sony makes the majority of the box office from the Spider-Man movies. Marvel doesn't make that much off of it. This deal goes back to 2014 after The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Sony renegotiated with Marvel when they negotiated for more of the box office, and in exchange, Marvel will get the revenue from all of the Spider-Man merchandise, which Marvel obviously agreed to, because where does a movie make a majority of its money? It's not at the box office, folks. It's in the toys, it's in the t-shirts, it's in the bedspreads, it's in the party hats, it's in the dinner plates. You get what I mean. You know, in the words of Mel Brooks, merchandising. So if Sony makes, I think it was reported like 95% of the box office of the box office net, because the exhibitors split 50-50, but still, Sony makes 95% of whatever the net box office is for the Spider-Man movies, whereas Marvel doesn't. Marvel gets a pittance by comparison, but Marvel has the merchandising. If you were Sony and you're noticing that all of these spin-off movies, you know, it's bomb after bomb after bomb, with the exception of the Venom movies, why wouldn't you say, yeah, fuck it, let's do Spider-Man 4, because what's good for the goose is good for the gander? Now, that's all the main reasons I had for why this move is desperate for Sony. Now let's move on to why Spider-Man 4, Tom Holland's Spider-Man 4, is a move of desperation for Disney Marvel Studios. And the first point I want to make is that the only movies to succeed post-Avengers Endgame were Spider-Man No Way Home and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. And that's it. Right? I shouldn't say post-Endgame, because Spider-Man Far From Home came out post-Endgame. The only movies to succeed in Phase 4 were Spider-Man No Way Home, grossing nearly $2 billion globally, and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which, if I'm not mistaken, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 grossed roughly $850 million globally, and that still was like Marvel breaking even on Guardians Volume 3. every other movie that Marvel has released, other than Spider-Man No Way Home, Guardians Volume 3, and Deadpool and Wolverine, has either barely broke even or has bombed drastically. Look at the box office for Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. It had the biggest opening weekend of any Ant-Man movie, but it was all I think Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania holds the record for the biggest opening weekend of a box office flop. I think the opening weekend was $106 million, and it concluded with like roughly $475 million worldwide. I could be wrong on those numbers, but again, I do believe that Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania does hold the record for the largest opening weekend of a box office bomb. So if you're Marvel Studios and you're looking at your slate, like, okay, only 3 movies have been real hits. Spider-Man No Way Home, which was the 3rd Tom Holland Spider-Man movie, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, and Deadpool and Wolverine. Let's just ignore the fact that all those movies are the 3rd in their respective lineup. Spider-Man No Way Home, the 3rd MCU Spider-Man movie. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, obviously the 3rd Guardians of the Galaxy movie. And Deadpool and Wolverine, also Deadpool 3. Let's just ignore that. That's just coinky-dink. Right, that's just coincidence. If you're Marvel and you're looking at it, these are the only 3 movies that have really made bank. And we are so desperate for a guaranteed hit. Why wouldn't we work with Sony to do a Tom Holland Spider-Man 4? Because let's go back to desperate for Sony. Let's go back to that second talking point. Is that no Peter Parker Spider-Man movie, ever since the 2002 movie with Sam Raimi, has ever lost money at the box office. So if you're Marvel and you're looking at that, you're looking at, money, 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 money. At a time when you have box office bomb after bomb after bomb after bomb, and now you're Kevin Feige, and you were cream of the crop when Avengers Endgame came out. Fast forward to 2024, going into 2025, Kevin Feige is now the butt of the joke. But anyway, I'm digressing. Let's go into the second reason why Tom Holland's Spider-Man 4 is a desperation move for Marvel, and that is the multiverse / Kang dynasty really went nowhere even before Jonathan Majors' conviction. Right, yes, Jonathan Majors was convicted of the crimes that he was accused of, and obviously Marvel had to let him go. But even if we're looking at before Jonathan Majors' conviction, and we look at the multiverse and what they were doing with Kang the Conqueror, they said it in the very first season of Loki, in that it doesn't matter what happens. They could kill Kang right then and there. It's going to launch a multiverse war, and Kang is just going to end up back in the driver's seat of the primary timeline. So again, what the MCU effectively did is that they raised the stakes so significantly that there are no stakes, because it's a multiverse where anything can happen, right? It's, the fact that anything can happen, therefore nothing really happens. You can kill off Kang in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. I don't remember if they killed off Kang. Okay, you just killed off one version of Kang when there are an infinite number of different Kangs. So Kang is going to come back in the next movie. You could kill off Captain America. You could kill off Iron Man. You could kill off Doctor Doom. You could kill off Black Widow. It doesn't matter with the multiverse, because there are an infinite number of versions of each of these characters. So now, if you thought that the character deaths during the Infinity Saga meant nothing, because they would tease that they were killing off a character, and then, oh surprise, the character didn't actually die. Let's go back to the example of Loki. Loki was killed off in the Infinity Saga 3 times. Loki was quote-unquote killed off at the end of Thor when he fell down to Earth when Thor broke the light bridge. Now, the argument that you could make about how they were able to bring Loki back to life successfully is that, well, Loki was a god, therefore a simple fall would not be enough to kill him. Sure, he fell from the heavens, but all Loki is just a fallen god, and, well, he's a god. He's not mortal. He's not a mortal man. He's a god, therefore a simple fall wouldn't do it. Then you have the quote-unquote death scene from Thor the Dark World, where Loki dies by saving Thor, and it's this huge emotional moment that is completely undone before the credits roll, revealing that he disguised himself as Odin, so, oh, surprise, Loki's not really dead. Then you get to the very beginning of Avengers Infinity War, and Thanos really killed Loki this time. And so much so that I think it was like at least 3 times in Avengers Infinity War, like at least 3 times, maybe 4 times, where they have to keep reaffirming to the audience that, yes, Loki is really dead this time. And then you get the Loki TV show where it's like, wait a minute, how can you make a Loki TV show if Loki is dead? Oh, wait, that's right. We're following an alternate version of Loki, one that successfully recovered the Tesseract at the end of Avengers. So they truly cannot kill off Loki. We're on... Yeah, not the fourth version of Loki, but still, you have the TV show of Loki following a multiverse version of him, and it was revealed that of all the variants, Loki had the most amount of variants possible, so they could kill off Loki at the end of season 1. If they really wanted to, they could have killed off Loki at the end of season 1. Loki season 2 comes around, they can just follow a different variant for all they knew, because they already established that Loki had the most amount of variants of any character in the multiverse. So going back to the multiverse, Kang Dynasty went nowhere. Again, you raise the stakes so significantly where anything can happen that nothing really happens at the end of the day. We know how it ends. Kang the Conqueror is going to go back to the throne and oversee the timeline. So what's the point of getting invested? And the third and final reason for why this is such a desperation move for Marvel, and I'm going to tie this back to the video I made a few days ago, which if you haven't seen, I've already done a card. If you're watching this on YouTube, if you're watching this on BitChute, or if it does back up to Rumble, it's probably on there too, is that they delayed Mahershala Ali's Blade indefinitely and probably quietly canceled it. Now, I don't want to go too much into this because I've already done a dedicated video on it. But still, if you're Marvel, okay, you indefinitely delay a movie. That is really, really bad news from a PR standpoint. So what do you do to recover public trust? Let's send out Tom Holland, and we'll confirm that the 4th Spider-Man movie is being made, a movie that they never announced prior, because the deal with Sony was kind of shaky after Spider-Man Far From Home, and especially after Spider-Man No Way Home. There was no guarantee that the deal with Sony was going to continue, so they never announced a Spider-Man 4. So all of a sudden, you send out Tom Holland to announce Spider-Man 4 just a couple of days after you decide to delay Blade indefinitely. Again, they probably quietly canceled it behind the scenes. They just don't want to confirm that it was canceled. That's my opinion on the situation. I am allowed to express an opinion. Yes, in my opinion, the MCU Blade movie has been quietly canceled behind the scenes. Again, I'm not saying that as a matter of fact. I am not pulling a doomcock and claiming to have a quote-unquote inside source. No, I'm just stating an opinion. You can, the old adage is opinions are like assholes. Everyone has one. So anyway, getting back to this and how much of a PR disaster that delaying the Blade movie is for Marvel, let's announce something that the audience wants. Spider-Man No Way Home is the 7th highest grossing movie of all time. It made just shy of $2 billion at the global box office. What if we go out there and we announce a 4th Spider-Man movie just out of the blue, and about a day after we announce that, we give it an official release date of July 24th, 2026. Let's really get the hype going now so that everyone forgets about Blade. Everyone moves on. So this is good for Marvel from a PR standpoint, because indefinitely delaying Blade, bad PR move, because that movie has been production hell since 2019. But now you have a 4th Spider-Man movie where Tom Holland confirmed that they are going to start shooting in summer of 2025, and now there's a release date for July 24th, 2026. Within a few short days, maybe even a week, everyone's going to forget about the Blade movie. Everyone's going to forget about the production hell that the MCU's Blade movie went through, because yippee, Spider-Man 4. So I want to end the video off with this. I want to pose the question, and this is not rhetorical. I'm going to answer this. I'm going to answer my own question. Will this move work for both Sony and Marvel? And in my opinion, it's no shocker. it's more than likely going to work because Spider-Man is so mainstream that even your grandma who doesn't read comic books knows who Spider-Man is. The three biggest superheroes are Superman. And by the way, all the Superman movies made roughly $2.5 billion at the global box office. And if you think that's a lot for all the Superman movies, keep in mind, most of the Superman movies came out between 1978 and 1980. God, when did Quest for Peace come out? I think that was 87. So keep in mind, the Superman movies all came out between 78 and 87, with Superman sporadically releasing, with Superman movies releasing sporadically since then. But still, everyone knows who Superman is. Everyone knows who Batman is. And by the way, the Batman movies, ever since Tim Burton's Batman back in 1989 with Michael Keaton. Now, there was a Batman movie in 66 that did star Adam West and Burt Ward. However, they did not track box office. They did not track box office numbers back in the mid-60s. So we truly don't know how successful Batman with Adam West and Burt Ward was at the box office. But still, from Batman 89 onward, Batman made almost $7 billion at the global box office, and that includes Joker 1 and 2. Now, keep in mind, Joker is Batman's foil, and everybody knows who Batman is. Everyone knows who the Joker is. The Joker is Batman's villain. And if we look at the Spider-Man movies, starting from the 2002 Sam Raimi movie, the Spider-Man movies made almost $9 billion at the global box office, not counting the spin-offs like Venom, Morbius, or Madam Web. And by the way, there are still 2 more Spider-Man movies upcoming. Spider-Man 4, which has just been confirmed, and the third Spider-Verse movie, Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse. So if we're looking at this from the standpoint, while announcing Spider-Man 4 after delaying Blade indefinitely is just a way to save face PR-wise, in my opinion, this move is absolutely going to work in the long run.